I want to give you guys some feedback on yesterday's problem set, lesson 10. So we have 1/2 is less than or greater than 1/4. I'm going to come over here to my manipulatives. Here is 1/2. Here is 1/4. As you can see, this red piece is way bigger. This 1/2 is way bigger than this yellow piece, which is 1/4. So 1/2 is greater than 1/4. Here it says 1/6 is less than or greater than 1/2. So I'm going to put 1/6 and 1/2, and we can see that 1/6 is less than 1/2. Here we have 1/3 is less than or greater than 1/2. So here's 1/3, here's 1/2. 1/3 is less than 1/2 because the piece is smaller. So 1/3 is less than 1/2. And you're going to start to see that the bigger the number is on the bottom, that means the fraction is going to be smaller. So thirds are less than halves because you have more pieces for thirds, which means the pieces are going to be smaller. Here we have 1/3 is less than or greater than 1/6. There's 1/3, 1/6. 1/3 is bigger than 1/6. Tilly. Here we have 1/8 is less than or greater than 1/6. I'm going to go ahead and put in 1/8 and 1/6. We can see that 1/8, even though the denominator is bigger, the bottom number is bigger, the fraction is smaller than 1/6. So 1/8 is smaller than 1/6, or less than. Here we have 1/8 is less than or greater than 1/4. So I've already got my 1/8 up there. Here's 1/4. We can see that 1/8 is way smaller than 1/4. So 1/8 is less than 1/4. As you can see, the bigger the bottom number, the smaller the fraction is. 1/2 is less than or greater than 1/8. Here's 1/2. Here's 1/8. 1/2 is way bigger than 1/8. So 1/2 is greater than 1/8. 9/8 is less than or greater than 2/2. Let me show you this on here. All right, here is 9/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And here is 2/2. 1, 2. So 9/8 is bigger than 2/2. 9/8 is greater than 2/2. Lily needs 1/3 cup of oil and 1/4 cup of water to make muffins. Will Lily use more oil or water? All right, so oil is represented by 1/3. So I'm going to go back to these. And water is represented by 1/4. So you can see that 1/3 is bigger than 1/4. Oil is 1/3, so she's going to use more oil than water. And I would just say 1/3 is greater than 1/4. Lily will use more oil because she is using 1/3 cup of oil, which has bigger pieces than 1/4 cup of water. All right. Use greater than, less than, or equal to compare 1/3 and 1/5. Here was 1/3. Here's 1/5. 1/3 is greater than 1/5. So here's the greater than sign. 1/7 compared to 1/4. 1/7 and 1/4. 1/7 is less than 1/4. So 1/7 is less than 1/4. 1/6 and 1/6. Well, I know those are equal. So I'm just going to show you here. Here's 1/6. Here's 1/6. They are equal. 1/10 and 1/12. Here's 1/10. Here's 1/12. I can see that the 10th is slightly bigger, and I also know because the bottom number in 1/10 is smaller than the bottom number in 1/12, which actually makes it a bigger fraction. 1/10 is greater than 1/12. 1/16 and 1/11. I think this only lets me go to 12ths, so I'll show you 11ths. Here's 11ths. 16ths. Since the bottom number is bigger, that means that fraction is actually going to be smaller. So 1/16 is going to be less than 1/11. 1 whole and 2 halves. All right, here is 1 whole, and here is 1 half. Let me show you what it looks like when we have 2 halves. Nope, not that one. All right, here's 1 whole. Here's 1 half, 2 halves. We can tell that they are equal. 1 whole and 2 halves are equal to each other. All right, let's see which one's equivalent to 1/8. 1/8 is the same as 1/8. We'll say equals. 1/8 is greater than 1/6, less than 1/6, or equal to 1/6. Well, I know since the denominator is bigger, the fraction is going to be smaller. 1/8 compared to 1/3. Again, the bottom number is bigger, so it's actually going to be a smaller fraction. 1/8 compared to 2 halves. Well, we just learned that 2 halves is the same thing as a whole. So let's look on here. Here's 2 halves, and here's 1/8. We can see that 2 halves is way smaller. 1/8 is way smaller than 2 halves. And 1/8 compared to 1 whole. Here's 1 whole. Again, we can see that 1/8 is way less than 1 whole. Well, that's not right. Okay, maybe it was comparing this fraction and this fraction, this fraction and this fraction, this fraction. Okay, 2 halves and 1 half are equal. Okay, that was kind of confusing. All right, your friend Eric says that 1/6 is greater than 1/5 because 6 is greater than 5. Let's look here. 1/6 and 1/5. 1/6 is not greater than 1/5, so we're going to say Eric is incorrect because 1/5 is greater than 1/6. If the bottom number is smaller, the fraction is actually greater. And we are done. Hope this helped, guys.